The story of the film is based on an experiment to observe the effects of power, rules, group identity, and dehumanization in a simulated prison environment. For this purpose, volunteers enticed by $1,000 per day arrive for a psychological study led by Dr. Archaleta. Among the volunteers are Travis, a proud anti-war protester, and Michael Barris, a 42-year-old man who still lives with his domineering mother. A group of 26 people was driven to an isolated prison setting, with 24-hour surveillance camera coverage. The group is split into 6 guards and 20 prisoners, and here they commit a horrible mistake. Hi, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to review the 2010 American thriller movie, The Experiment. Please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon, so you never miss my future videos. The story of the film begins with a character named Travis, who works at a mental health facility, taking care of old people with mental health conditions. He is also an anti-war protester. The next scene starts in the public where the marching with the banners of written statements such as, "No more coffins," and "Peace." Travis is also participating in the procession and talking to people about the war. Meanwhile, a girl named Bay is pushed by someone who is there and she is fallen down. Travis gets angry by seeing it and he makes himself ready to punch that man. The police arrive and cover the matter. That girl asks Travis if he is alright. He says yes and they both become friends and the conversation begins as she tells him that she is going to India to get relaxed by doing some yoga in an ashram. The scene changes and Travis is called by his employer, saying that they cannot afford to keep him anymore. Travis asks him about the reason but the manager says that they have a very short budget, in which they cannot afford more people. A few days later, Travis is reading a newspaper sitting in his room. He sees an advertisement where some subjects are required for a behavioral experiment. Its duration is 2 weeks and the salary is $1,000 per day. Travis goes for an interview and encounters a man named Barris who sits next to him. Travis calls him smart man while looking at the suit and tie. The principal investigator arranges an interview for all the participants, in which he asks about family background, time spent in prison, history of violence, other diseases, or mental health issues. They were strictly informed that the people who spend their time in prison, and those who have a history of violent behavior are not suitable for the experiment. Those who were found violating the rules will be expelled from the experiment, and will not be paid. The participants were also informed that they will have no civil rights during the experiment. Then they passed all the participants through various physical tests in order to see their response to violence and destruction. They were also checked for stressed environments and loneliness. Most of the people who came to participate in the experiment were jobless, and were desperately looking for work. Travis says goodbye to Bay and goes for joining the experiment team. They were taken to a vacant building at an unknown location. The building was designed as real prison which consisted of inmate cells as well as guard rooms. The building was completely covered with surveillance cameras in order to keep observing their behavior. Here Travis is assigned to be prisoner number 77, and Barris to be a prison guard. Before starting the experiment, the principal investigator repeated the basic rules as outlined. Prisoners must fully consume 3 meals a day, there will be 30 minutes of mandatory recess daily, prisoners must remain within designated areas, prisoners will call each other with their assigned numbers and not their actual names, and they cannot speak to any guard unless spoken to first. The guards in turn must ensure prisoners obey the rules, and deal commensurately with transgressions within 30 minutes. He pointed towards a red light, that it will be turned on if any sort of violation of rules is observed, and the experiment will be terminated immediately and they will not be paid. The investigator stresses the point that the experiment will end immediately at the first sign of violence or quitting. If all manage to follow the rules for 2 weeks, each man will be paid $14,000. Travis shares his cell with Benji, a graphic novelist, and Nix, a member of the Aryan Brotherhood who served prison time before. Barris, concerned that some of the guards, particularly Chase, may be capable of violence, tries to dissuade them from aggressive behavior. Instead, the guards grow more forceful in order to make prisoners obey at all costs. Barris becomes more and more sadistic. Despite increasing abuse from the guards, Travis remains defiant. Realizing Travis is influencing prisoner dissent, Barris decides to humiliate him, as physical retribution is forbidden. Under Barris's lead, Travis is abducted, shaved his head, and urinated upon. The red light does not come on, and Barris takes this as a sign that his actions were commensurate and the guards are behaving appropriately. When fellow guard Bosch dissents, Barris pressures him to continue. Quitting early will cause the researcher's red light to come on, and pay for everyone will be forfeited. Travis discovers that Benji, now severely ill, concealed his need for insulin, thinking that he could manage his diabetes with just a diet. When Travis pleads for Bosch to intervene, Bosch tries to help by locating Benji's insulin, but is caught by other guards. Barris, to Travis' surprise, puts Benji's insulin within his reach, but later takes revenge by massing all the guards to beat Bosch severely, who is then left among the prison population. Barris also orders Travis to clean the prison toilets as punishment for his defiant attitude and his attempt to help Benji. Travis taunts Barris, saying he should use his $14,000 for psychological treatment. The guards respond by shoving Travis' head into the toilet, nearly drowning him. One morning while being humiliated during roll call, Travis removes his prison shirt as a sign that the experiment should end, and is followed by the other prisoners. Travis climbs up a cell door to one of the cameras and demands that the group be let go, but is dragged to the floor by the guards, who choke him with their batons. When Benji tries to defend Travis, Barris hits Benji hard on the head with his baton, leaving the man twitching on the floor. Guards throw Travis into an old boiler pipe overnight, attack the remaining prisoners, and handcuff each man across the cell doors. While locked in the dark boiler, Travis realizes that there is a hidden infrared camera watching him even there. As his despondence turns to anger, he manages to get out and interrupts Chase's attempt to rape a prisoner. The intended victim and Travis beat Chase and knock him out. They set the other prisoners free. Finding Benji dead from his head injury, Travis leads an assault against the guards, chasing them through the building. As the rest of the guards try to lift the garage door to escape, Barris tries to keep them in. Money is no longer his main concern. Instead, he is unwilling to let go of his power. A vicious brawl ensues with the prisoners overwhelming the guards by sheer numbers. Barris, blaming Travis for causing the unrest, attempts to stab him, but the latter catches the blade with his hand. Barris abruptly pulls away, shocked at his actions before he is tackled to the ground. Travis proceeds to brutally beat Barris, as the siren finally blares. Only then does the researcher's red light come on and the door opens, signaling the end of the experiment. The group emerges into bright sunlight, and sits on the grass in stunned silence until a bus arrives. They are later shown on the bus, being driven home, already changed into their clean clothing, and paid for their participation in the experiment. Travis and Barris share a silent glance as Barris stares down at his $14,000 check. Nix asks Travis if he still believes that humans are higher in the chain of evolution than monkeys. Travis responds that he does because people have the ability to change. Audio news snippets suggest that Archaleta is being tried for manslaughter in Benji's death. Travis meets his girlfriend in India. She notices that his knuckles are bruised, in contrast to the beginning of the film, when she noted his pristine knuckles, an indication that he was, at the time, incapable of violence. The movie gives us a lesson that the environment can have a strong influence on the behavior of a person who is always interacting with it. The way someone behaves and reacts to a specific situation can be conditioned by his surroundings, and determined by many factors such as the prison he lives in. The physical space that surrounds a person, the people, and the day-to-day activities that took place are among other things. Thanks for watching.